We're painting bold, flat floral semi-borders this week using a simple process anyone can do. The color palette for this project is free as always. Just tap on the link in the video description and you can download and install it. I'm going to start by creating a brand new canvas. I've listed my specs on screen, and let's begin. I've got my brand new canvas, and the first thing we're going to do is set our background color. So tap on your layers, tap on background color, and it is the first color in our palette at the top row. Next, we're going to create a floral branch element that we will then reuse for the bottom portion of our border. And we're going to be using my Bouquet Maker brush set. It's a set of over 150 painting and stamp brushes. It gives you everything you could possibly need to build your own arrangements and bouquets. And it comes with painting brushes, so we're going to be using those to outline and fill in our florals. So I'll leave a link to that on screen and in the video description. So I'm going to come into that set. That set has 5 different categories of brushes, so they're arranged right here. And I'm going to head into the flat supporting group, and I'm going to grab supporting number 18 right here, and I'll just grab black, so double tap where black is, and we'll just stamp it in. I'm going to make it a little bit larger. I always like creating my graphics larger than I probably need them. That way I can reuse them later if I do need them at a larger size. So I'm just going to bring this in, and I know that I'm going to have it kind of swooping up at the top and then swooping at the bottom. So I'm going to kind of get it into position, but I don't want to crop it off the top or the side, because as soon as you do that, that information is lost forever. So I'm just kind of getting an idea of where I want it to go and scaling it based on what I'm thinking I'm going to do. So I'm going to make it a little larger than I think I need it at. I'm going to have it dip down a little further here. Okay, because I need to leave room in the center for my text, and I feel like this is guiding your eye all the way around. So I will eventually crop it like this, so I need it large enough to fulfill that. Next, we're going to begin coloring in this branch element. So what I like to do is just reduce the opacity of this, create a brand new layer right above it, and now we're just going to paint in our florals, and then we'll add in our foliage. So we've got this flower on top of this flower, so layer-wise, this flower will be above this flower. So I'm going to paint this one in first. So on this brand new layer, I'm going to switch into the flat extras category, the edgy ink brush, and I'm going to grab the light pink color, it's the third one on the second row, and just outline the flower. I'm going to bring my brush size down to about 10%, and all you have to do is trace the outline. It makes it super simple, and then fill it in. And then I'm going to turn this off temporarily, create a brand new layer right above it, and now I'm going to take care of the stamen elements, and those ones are going to be this darker orange color. So it's the first one on the second row. I increased my brush size to about 15% and give myself some chunky dots right here, kind of like making this part a little bit messy. So if I turn my petals back on, there's not a lot of interesting things going on, so I like adding in some additional details to just give more life to the flower. So I'm going to create a brand new layer right above the petals layer. I'm going to switch to the lighter pink color, and I'm just going to give myself some spiky lines to define these petals more and kind of the direction that they're going. And then we can just fill that in. We'll zoom out. I think that's a little bit large, so I'm just going to reduce the size down a little bit. And then I want to add in some dark brown dots to just enhance the stamen a little bit more. So I'm going to create a brand new layer right above the layer I just made. I'm going to grab my brown color, the third one on the top row. My brush is still around 15%, and I'm just going to add in some stippling right here. So a bunch of little dots. There we go. Now that flower has a lot more character than it did before. And if we turn off our outline layer, you can see what it looks like without anything else. So we've got our flower all set, and we can group the pink flower elements together. And I'll just label this one pink. Next we have this flower, which is underneath it, so it needs to be beneath it in our layers. So I'm going to tap on my outline layer, create a brand new layer right above it. And for this flower, we're going to make it this dark rust orange color. So select that, and then we're going to do the exact same thing that we did before, just trace the outline. Fill it in, turn off the petals temporarily, create a brand new layer right above it, and we're going to do the stamen again just like we did with the previous flower, only this time the stamen will be the fourth color on the top row, this bright yellow. Okay, turn on the petals, and we're going to enhance it the same way we did before. So come back to the petal layer, create a brand new layer right above it. I'm going to grab the second orange, and same thing we did before. If these seem too complex, these spiky elements, you could just draw lines. Like if I turn this off, create a brand new layer, I could just draw some lines that come up too. This is just as effective if you'd like to do this instead, and then just expand on creating this spiky look later on. Turn that back on. I'm going to fill it in. See how that feels. I think I need to reduce the size of this one as well, just a little bit. And we're also going to add in that stippling, and it's going to be the same color. So create a brand new layer, grab the dark brown, stipple it in. We've got two of our flowers, and we've got this flower that's opening up over here, so we'll take care of that one next. I can group these together, and I'll just label this one orange, and I'll create this flower bud underneath the previous two. So I'm going to tap on my outline layer, create a brand new layer right above it, and we'll take care of the center part first. That is going to be the dark orange color, and just fill it in, turn it off, create a brand new layer right above it, grab your yellow, so it's the brightest one on the top row, and I'll add in these side petals, and I'm going to make both of these the same color. And if we turn on the first part that we did, you can see we've got that nice layering because the yellow in the layers palette is above the orange. That gives us the hierarchy right here. So let's add some details to this. First, I want to add some stippling at the base of this to give it a sense of depth. So I'm going to tap on the orange layer, create a brand new layer right above it. I'm going to grab my dark brown and just stipple at the base and become less dense as I move upward. We're also going to add some details to the yellow. So create a brand new layer. We're going to apply a clipping mask to this because I've got some that might kind of move off the edges a little bit. Just to be safe, I'm going to tap on the layer thumbnail, choose clipping mask. We're going to select the darker yellow, so it's the last one on the top row. I'm going to reduce my brush size down to like 8%, and I'm just going to draw some lines up. Now I'm going to group everything we just did together, those 4 layers, and I'll label this one flower bud. So the next part, you'll notice where this flower bud is. If I turn it off, we've got the stem right here, and it's overlapping the flower petals. So I know that this stem has to be above what I just created right here for the flower bud, but it has to be behind these flowers because it continues on behind these. It's kind of perfect because we can put it right above this flower bud group. So I'm going to create a brand new layer. I'm going to grab my blue, so it's the last one on the second row, and I can draw this part in where it connects, this transition area, and I'll fill it with blue. And then if I turn on the flower bud, you can see how nice and effective that is. So I'm still on this, let me label this one foliage. So I'm still on the foliage layer, and I'm just going to continue drawing the rest of this foliage, and then I'll show you a really easy way to fill in the leaves all at once. All right, I've got them all drawn in now. So a really easy way to color drop all of these so you don't have to keep dropping for each one is you just drag it into one. Up here, hit continue filling with recolor. Down here, you have to make sure your flood level is below max. So it can be 99. It doesn't even have to be that far. And then you'll get these crosshairs right here. And you just drag them up into the element you want to fill. And then I can just tap into the other ones. And I'll fill it super, super fast. Now that's all done, and we can turn off our outline, and we can group this entire element together. So I'm grouping everything that I've done, and we'll label this one flower branch. So we've got this nice and large, it's not cropped, so we want to keep it this way, and what I like to do is just make a copy of it. That way, if once it does get cropped, if I change my mind and I need to start over and find a new crop that I like better, I've got the original. I haven't lost any information. So this one's our safety net. So I'm going to duplicate it, and we'll just turn off this extra group just in case we need it. It's there. So this one's going to be our top one. I can even label this one top branch. So now we need to move it into position. So I'm going to find a position right around here that I like. I might even rotate it a little bit. I'm going to go with that for now. Next, I am going to create a branch that comes off of this that kind of melds into the background just to give it a little more excitement, because otherwise it's just going to have this big empty space right here. I'm going to create a brand new layer. I'm going to come into the Bouquet Maker brush set and head into the flat filler. The flat filler is where you're going to find all of your foliage and filler elements. I'm going to use filler number 28 right here. It's kind of got a curve to it, so it works perfectly with what my master plan is. I'm going to double tap where the black is, tap it in, and we'll position it. And I want it to look like it's coming off of this branch, but it's still existing on its own. And I want it to be a similar scale of my other leaves, so I don't want to get too gigantic here. So this kind of lines up pretty well with this leaf. So I actually like that a lot, and I can just pretend that it comes down right off of this leaf right here. So I'm going to go with that. And I'm just going to exclude drawing this one in, so it'll work out perfectly. And we're going to be drawing this in behind the work that we've already done, so we can just drag this underneath the top branch group. And I'm going to create a brand new layer right above it, and I'm going to select the second color on the top row, so it's a little bit darker than our background color, and then head into the flat extras category and choose the edgy ink brush, because we're going to draw this in again, just like we did with the other elements. So I'm just going to pretend this one came up on its own behind that previous leaf. Okay, I can turn off that outline now. I don't need it I can just get rid of it. And then we can just color drop the same way that we did before. And let's take a look at it. And that feels good. All right, let's group everything we've done together. So this branch right here along with the top branch, we're going to group it, duplicate it, and this one's going to be our bottom branch, so I'm just going to label this one bottom. We'll drag it underneath the other one. We're going to drag it down. We're going to flip it horizontally and then flip it vertically. And it should line up right where we need it. You can see the cropped edge now. So I'm just heading right down until it snaps. So if we look at this before I move this selection, this is what it's going to look like. And I'm not crazy about it, but that's okay because I just need to crop it a little bit more. I want to give my lettering that's going to go inside of it just a little bit more breathing room. So I just need to crop it a bit more. So I'm going to come down a little bit further on this one. So maybe where this little divot is hitting, that's how far down I'm going to go. So it'll be easy to copy on the top one. And that feels good. Let's come back to the top one. We'll do the same thing. And I can tap on my screen too to move in small increments. And that is feeling much better now. Okay, now we can just add in our message and we'll be all done. So I'm going to create a brand new layer up at the very top. I'm going to choose my brown color and I've got my edgy ink and just add it in. If you'd like to learn more about creating flat style florals in Procreate, I've got an entire course for you. Throughout the course, we go through 12 different styles of flat floral artwork using the Bouquet Maker like we did in this project. So for more information on that, hit the link on screen or in the video description. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.